Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. And it feels so good to return to the fifth dimension. And I hope you guys are ready to re-enter the fifth dimension. We haven't had an episode like this in such a long time. You know, we have to wait for the right opening in the galaxy to open our minds and open our hearts when it comes to the theory crafting, the wild boy hours, and the hype that is the energy of the fifth dimension. So let's open our brains to what we have to talk about this episode, which is a lot, by the way. Kingdom Hearts Union Cross recently had a gigantic story update, like a huge story dump. Something that literally takes the Kingdom Hearts lore and puts it on its head. So when you combine what happened at the end of Kingdom Hearts The Remind, what happened at the end of Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, and what's happening now at the end of Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, then we have a lot to take in when it comes to the ending of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. Because all that is coming together in such a huge way. And I hope you guys are ready, because I've got my brand of signature cider mixed with Vikings Blood mead. Oh, good God, that's smooth. So first, let's talk a little bit about Kingdom Hearts on PC. All right, Kingdom Hearts on PC. So far, I've only got Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind on PC, and I can tell you right now, it's getting up there. I recently just got to Kingdom of Corona. Haha. I recently got up to Kingdom of Corona, and I can tell you right now, so far, this game on PC is the way to play. It is the most optimal version of the game that I've seen and played up until now. PS4 Pro, Xbox Series X, Xbox One X, PlayStation 5, all of that. PC. It's hella optimized. My specs aren't even that grand, but they're still pretty good. And yet, the game is running flawlessly in the way that it's meant to be consumed. So when we have all this is happening right now with Union Cross and Dark Road and Melody of Memory, playing Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind over in the best way to play is just too... It's like enjoying Kingdom Hearts 3 all over again in a brand new way, and I'm just like, it's so good. It's amazing, all right? And beyond that of Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, we're gonna dial back to Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind throughout this conversation, because of course what's going on with Union Cross is a big deal moving forward into Phase 2. So without further ado, let's get right into the meat and potatoes of the Union Cross, guys. That clash that the lights, the Union leaders, are having with the darkness just gave us so many answers and so many questions moving forward with Phase 2, and it's time to theorize and whatnot. We have multiple aspects. We have the idea of the will for darkness. As you've been here on the fifth dimension before, I've talked about the concept of cognitive darkness, in which, you know, certain darknesses can be formed from certain people that can act, can think, have a mind of their own, and can do things, unlike, you know, regular darkness or heartless that usually act instinctively or on that of the most negative of emotions, right? But it seems that finally, in Union Cross, we have a name for these type of darknesses, which I've been calling cognitive darknesses. We have a name known as willful darknesses, in which it seems that certain people, such as Ventus, is able to cultivate darkness within them to the point where darkness can be split off and have a mind of their own. And we've seen this with what happened with Strelitzia, in which Ventus was there. He wasn't directly responsible for her death, but, you know, the darkness that was within him gained a mind of its own, acted on its own accord, and told Ventus what to do. Pick up the book, and, you know, it struck down Ventus, which is funny. Struck down Ventus, Strelitzia, which is funny because if you actually go back and play Union Cross, in that specific scene, when it comes to the darkness killing Strelitzia, they actually removed the sound effect from the international version, in which you can hear the darkness cutting down Strelitzia, which was in the Japanese version. The Japanese version, you can hear the sound effect like Strelitzia got chopped, right? And in the international version, they actually removed that sound effect. And I'm like, but why? We can take it. We literally saw Kairi chunks in Kingdom Hearts 3. We can take it, right? So either way, the Willful Darkness is now working on its own, but it seems that there is not just one Willful Darkness. This specific Willful Darkness that killed Strelitzia came from Ventus. And in the exchange that we've seen in one of the final episodes of Union Cross is that the Willful Darkness is going to be reshaped by Ventus and given a form that they can actually defeat. Now, of course, you know, when you put 2 and 2 together, considering what happened in Kingdom Hearts Rewind, what happened throughout the entirety of Kingdom Hearts, you can pretty much say with 90%, you know, assertion that the Willful Darkness that came from Ventus will go on to become that of Vanitas, right? So, you know, will it be possible, and here's the first theory of the stream, will it be possible that other Willful Darknesses created by these other individuals that, you know, give off this vibe or whatever, can reshape these individual Willful Darknesses, you know, the individual pieces of the whole, in order to get new shapes, in order to get new forms, in order to get a form similar, a power similar to that of Vanitas? Because even though the darkness, when they're fighting it, you know, you can't do anything in the darkness, it doesn't have a form, you know, you can't destroy that which has no form, right? So when it comes to Vanitas and whatnot, this guy, when it comes to Vanitas and whatnot, will these other darknesses follow in their footsteps? Because, you know, having all of this unverse, having all of this other stuff, you know, basically, you know, at the beckon of your call. Vanitas was a very powerful individual, right? And sure, you know, it's cool to have no form, but you can only do so much, I feel, with no form. And I feel that the Willful Darkness aspect of, you know, the possibility of Vanitas having more people like him is going to be explained in Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. And we've already seen a little hint with that with the Queen of Hearts. The Queen of Hearts, not the Red Queen. The Queen of Hearts, right? In which she seemed to have an entity behind her that seemed to be a lot along the lines of a Willful Darkness, right? And something that Xehanort was able to see, you know, the boy with the eyes that can see the darkness. So, will we see other darknesses in that line of Vanitas taking shape and form? And this goes along with the theory that I've been playing around with, known as the darkness, the sins of darkness, or the darkness of sins, or the 7 deadly sins darkness, the seven sins of darkness, right? In which we've played around with this theory before in the 5th dimension, in which, you know, these darknesses in 7 in number may be tied specifically to individual princesses of heart from various, you know, Disney worlds and various Disney pieces of lore, in which we have one already with Rage, Wrath, which is, you know, one of the 7 deadly sins, and that could be the darkness that sprang off from the Queen of Hearts. Now, what would be, you know, Vanitas would obviously have to be one of them, and I feel that the Princess of Heart that correlates with Vanitas is obviously Kairi, because Kairi is a original Disney property that was created as a Princess of Heart alongside the other Princesses of Heart, which, you know, are all well-known Disney princesses, right? So I feel Vanitas might be the princess, might be the 7 deadly sin of darkness that can correlate with Kairi as a what do you call them? As a Princess of Heart. The 7 darkness of the I need a better word for that. The darkness of sin that correlates with Wrath is the one that correlates with Alice, and then we can go on and so forth. You know, we can see things like Maleficent gaining her own willful darkness and stuff, and that willful darkness could have easily been created by Raikou. You know, I should say Raikou Ansem Raikou, you know, Dark Raikou, when Ansem was possessing Raikou in Kingdom Hearts 1, where he's like, there, open your heart, give it to darkness, and then, you know, Maleficent turned into the Dark Dragon, Maleficent and stuff. That could have been the start of how she got her own darkness. And it could be possible that, see, here we go, big brain, right, theory time, yeah! Bam. The darkness that instructed Maleficent from the past. Literally, when Maleficent went to the past, that was after Kingdom Hearts 1. That's after she lost her form and sent her heart back to the past, with accordance with what Master Xehanort told her from Birth by Sleep, right? And if Raikou unlocked her heart to darkness in the events of Kingdom Hearts 1, and afterwards she went to Union Cross, the darkness that was instructing Maleficent in order to go back to the future, that could have been her willful darkness. Because I'm really starting to believe, like, the events of what's going on when the Union leaders are fighting the willful darkness that's in the Union chamber, right? That's a different piece of willful darkness that came from Ventus that they're fighting. And while they're fighting, that's when another piece of willful darkness has a conversation with Luxu that sent the true Dandelion to the future. And that's when she came into contact with another willful darkness. So that's her willful darkness, possibly the darkness of I want to say pride, right? I want to say pride only because, you know, oh, Maleficent, you know, she's prideful in her magic, prideful in her prowess. She, you know, takes pride in, you know, stomping down her enemies and whatnot. So that would be, I would feel, the darkness of pride, right? The willful darkness of pride. We've yet to see aspects of the willful darkness of lust, the willful darkness of sloth, gluttony, envy, and greed, right? And I feel that the willful darkness that Vanitas is, I feel Vanitas is the willful darkness of gluttony. I feel that Vanitas is the willful darkness of gluttony. And we've talked about this before, right? And the reason why I don't want to put him as greed is because, well, I know he could be greed. Like, no. Greed doesn't want to share. You know, the aspect of greed is that avarice, you don't want to share. You know, gluttony, it would make sense, you know, like he produces all of these unverse and then consumes them all back again, but he makes more, he puts more out into the world. So that's him sharing his food, sharing his stuff. Greed doesn't like to share. So greed and gluttony are really close, in which they both want to hoard and consume and all that stuff, right? But gluttony, you just want to consume. You know, if you're a glutton, you might still want to share, but greed, no sharing, right? And I think that's gonna be the end all be all when it comes to Vanitas' own spiel, when it comes to the 7 willful darkness. Now, 7 is a very magical number because, of course, Tetsuya Nomura messed around with the notion of 13 over and over and over again, but 7 is a very magical number in the sense that we're getting more importance of the 7. And that's not just going for the 7 princesses of heart, the 7 willful darknesses, which I feel is going to be a thing. Guys, remember, you were here back then, and now when HMK wanted to start talking about the willful darknesses, you were here. Just remember, all right? Say hi, YouTube. Another aspect of the 7 is the 7 crowns that are meant to be adorned or used by the 7 lights. And I feel that this was something that was completely bonkers, right? I feel it was way out of realm. So we're going to talk about the true Dandelion, but I want to talk about the 7 crowns a little bit. Because now this does give an aspect of trifold importance to who could be the 7 true lights and whatnot. And like the whole concept of 7 lights, 7 princesses of heart, 7 guardians of light in order to guard the princesses of heart and whatnot. I really was thinking for the longest that the 7 guardians of light wasn't going to be the end all be all of those who choose to wield the light against that of the 7 secrets of darkness. The 13 secrets of darkness. See, 7's on my mind. 7 is on my mind and I'm out of my mind, right? The 13 secrets of darkness or the 13 darknesses, right? I feel that there are a legitimate 7 lights that we haven't came into contact that were always as to be crowned as the 7 crowned lights, right? And of course, when you think about it, Sora is one of them, because it's been in our face the whole time. Now, this goes into the whole notion, and I want to have this conversation with y'all. This goes into the whole notion about the whole spiel of Sora being important or not important, or the basis of his character. Because, you know, being destined for grandeur and being, you know, and attaining grandeur are two different things. And Sora was always designed by Tetsuya Nomura as a character to be an ordinary boy, to show that, you know, as long as your heart is willing to connect to others, you can achieve great power through connecting with your friends or connecting to others. And that is the grand lore and the grand beauty of Kingdom Hearts. You know, Kingdom Hearts, you know, showing that your heart, if your heart is big enough, you can do great things, even if you are just ordinary. That's the whole basis of Sora. So when people say like, oh, Sora is destined for greatness, Sora can do great things, like Sora was able to do great things despite the fact that he was an ordinary boy, and that's the whole point of the message behind Sora's character, right? So then, if Sora is going to be one of the 7 crowns, right, wouldn't that defy the whole notion of Sora being, you know, an ordinary boy and chasing importance and then having importance thrust on him, or somehow gaining importance? I would say no, because of a very, very important thing that the Master said, and that is the 7 crowns. Yeah, the 7 crowns are the 7 lights. Anyone can use them. Anyone can use them. And because the darkness is like, oh, is one of them going to your apprentice, Lushu? And he's like, who knows? You know, anyone could use them. Anyone can gain the crowns. Anyone can have a crown, right? So I feel that helps bring Sora's identity as an ordinary boy. It keeps it intact in if he is destined to be one of the 7 crowns, which is obvious because I mean, like, his necklace, it was a crown the whole time. Every time you see any type of, you know, Kingdom Hearts concept art or Kingdom Hearts art that Tetsuya Nomura draws, either Sora has like a crown symbol on top of his head, or it literally has a legitimate crown on his head. And then you can gain a crown in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, right? So I feel that keeps it intact for Sora's identity to be a regular boy that could attain a crown, who can be destined, who can chase his supposed destiny of gaining a crown despite the fact that he started out as ordinary. He's like, you can be, like, anyone can be kings, anyone can be queens. You know, it doesn't have, you don't have to have blue blood, you don't have to have, you know, royalty. You can be a king, you know? And I feel that's a beautiful message to what dials back to, if you guys watched it, Superman, bro, what am I saying? Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, in which, you know, Miles Morales says, oh, you know, anyone could wear the mask. It could be you, it could be me. And you can wear the mask. Anyone could wear the mask, right? Anyone could be Spider-Man. So that, I feel, is a really beautiful touch that Tetsuya Nomura and the Masters did, in which he states that anyone could wear the crown. Anyone can have one of the 7 crowns, right? So I feel that if Sora is going to be one of the 7 crowns, it will be obvious. But let's rap for a little bit, right? Who do y'all think to be what? Like, I have the 7 crowns. Who do you think is going to be 7 crowns? Obviously, my pick is that the people destined to be 7 crowns, or like, you know, there are going to be 7 crowns. Sora, obviously. Raikou, because the Oblivion Keyblade is meant to symbolize Raikou, and the keychain to that Keyblade is literally a dark version, a like purplish blackish version of Sora's crown. Right, so you know, and that Keyblade is meant to symbolize him. He's another one of the 7 crowns. All right, Yozora. I feel Yozora is going to be the last of the 7 crown. Is the last of the 7 crowns, the 7th crown. Like, because he is the Vane Rex. Right now, he's the falsest Rex. Get this, guys. Right now, he's the falsest Rex. But once he gets that 7th crown, the last crown, he's gonna be the Vane Rex. That's why Nomura made that secret movie and named it Falsest Rex, because he's not the true king yet. He's the false king right now, but once he gains that crown, he's gonna be the true king. The last true king, the one true sky. And then also, I feel that Kairi might be destined for a crown, because the Oathkeeper, if I'm going to use Oblivion as a point, the Oathkeeper keychain, which is obviously the good luck charm that Kairi gave Sora way back when in Kingdom Hearts 1, does have a little crown in it. A little... God damn it. Alright, a little crown, right? A little crown in the key in the shell, in the good luck charm, the Wayfinder, right? And Kyrie's Keyblade, Destiny's Embrace, does have a crown all the way at the bottom that leads to the keychain, which the keychain for that Keyblade is the Palpu fruit, right? So I feel that Kyrie could be another crown. So I mean, like, obviously the three of the main crowns, bam, 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 thank you, ma'am, would be Sora, Raikou, and Kyrie, the main three, and then Yuzuru would be the seventh, right? So then we have to think about who are crowns number 4, 5, and 6, right? And I feel that's going to be a very interesting ride. Now, I've been playing around with a theory that Luxu could be a crown and whatnot. Obviously, because he's the one who sent off the true Dandelion. And Luxu is the homie. Guys, say it with me. Say it with me. Despite what you saw with Xigbar, despite what you saw with Break, throughout the entirety of Kingdom Hearts, he's been playing the long con. Luxu is the homie. He's been helping the whole time. He's been trying to help the light, trying to help the people. Say with me, wouldn't that make you the homie? Luxu is the homie, all right? Luxu is the homie. So I feel that Luxu could be a crown because there's a very important question that I have to pick your brain for, because this is the 5th dimension. We are going in deep. There are no train stops on the 5th dimension, all right? Only sleepy time, you know? So let me pick your brain for a little bit, okay? Obviously on the chessboard, when it comes to the 7 black pieces, 7 lights, 7 crowns, 7 former crowns, whatever, we have obviously the symbols of the 5 foretellers, and then we also have a symbol of Luxu, which is described by the goat symbol for, you know, Luxu's Keyblade. Luxu's Keyblade. And then we also have another symbol that is described to be the symbol that's on the Book of Prophecies, which people can, you know, correlate with the Master of Masters. Now, riddle me this, ladies and gentlemen, all right? Of course, the Gazing Eye, the no-name, the Keyblade, has the Master of Masters' eye in the Keyblade, right? Would we really consider that to be Luxu's true Keyblade? When, you know, that eye belongs to the Master of Masters. And then when you actually look at the cutscene, because I actually went back after the whole Union Cross 7 Crowns thing, I actually went back and saw a cutscene like a million times, right? That lion, that goat chess piece is actually sitting in the middle, you know, when it comes to 7 being an odd number. That piece is in the middle, almost as if that's like the most important piece, the piece commanding the other pieces. Why would Luxu command the other pieces when, you know, Master of Masters, which the pieces by the, you know, the symbol of the Book of Prophecies is over to the side, right? Why would Luxu be in the most important spot in the middle? That's because I don't think he is. I don't think he was. I don't think that is. I don't think Luxu's Keyblade really belongs to him. Rather, that symbol is meant to, you know, describe the Master of Masters. But then what is that Book of Prophecy symbol supposed to, like, you know, symbolize if that's not the Master of Masters? It could be anyone else. It could be one of the Willful Darknesses. It could be Vanitas, who existed from that time. It could be a darkness that read the Book of Prophecies. It could be anybody else, right? And that it could be possible that, as the darkness asked one point, that Luxu could be destined for one of the crowns, right? And if Luxu gains one of the crowns, that would make him the homie, and that would possibly put him on the Sora side, you know, the side of all of the crowns and whatnot. I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit and try and get that understanding of who could be on what side and who could be good or bad. Now, going off that tangent, because we love going off to the tangent of the wormholes of the 5th dimension. Going off that tangent, when it comes to the Master of Masters and his endgame, he wants to see the light and the darkness stop fighting. He wants to defeat the darkness. He wants to put an end to this war once and for all, right? Obviously, he's been putting all these measures into place, training the Dandelions, training his union leaders, the foretellers, and giving off Keyblades and stuff, even having cool, amicable conversations with the darkness. So then why would the Master of Masters possibly be on the other side of the chessboard, on Xehanort's side, the darkness' side. When obviously the black pieces, mean the darkness, Xehanort's controlling the black pieces, him being the seeker of darkness, and then Ericus over there being the one destined to defend the world, being the light. Some light comes from the past. Why would the Master of Masters be on the opposite side of the chessboard? And why would the Foretells be on the opposite side of Sora and Pals, right? So, obviously, the Master of Masters commands the Foretellers. The Foretellers follow the Master of Masters' teachings to a T. Sure, they get a little bit hanky-panky, such as Gula and Ava, because they're kids and whatnot, but they take the teachings of the Master of Masters to heart, and they believe in him to the highest degree, with all of their heart. And they're going to follow him to the end of the earth, especially if he comes back in a full well form, which he's going to come back. Because, Union Cross is like, I've got a direct line from A to B. Why would the Master Masters be on the opposing side and throw his whole plan away? There's one word that could give you the answer, I feel, ladies and gentlemen. Square. Quadratum. He said it himself. At the end of the Union Cross update, at the very end, he's like, I saw a world I could never imagine. I saw something that I didn't expect. A world I could not conceive. Quadratum, right? But at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, we didn't really understand what Quadratum could be, what Shibuya could be, what Shinjuku could be, what Unreality could be. I had a theory, which came true, ha ha ha, the power of the fifth dimension. I had a theory that this world was beyond that, outside of that, without that, of light and darkness. And I called that 2 years in advance. Buddy boy, how you like me now? That's smooth. So in Melody and Memory, they confirm that Unreality, the world of Quadratum, that area, that space, outside of the reality that we know of Kingdom Hearts, beyond the curtain, is an aspect, a world without that of light or darkness, without that of the war, the fighting that the Master of Masters is so tired of. And y'all really think that Yozora and Quadratum isn't going to be the biggest playmaker in Phase 4. And that's where the theory of the fifth dimension comes into play, ladies and gentlemen. It is because that the Master of Masters saw a world without light or darkness, a world without a fight between the light and darkness, a world he couldn't possibly perceive because all he ever knew was a battle, a war between light and darkness, the Keyblade War, the destruction of the world time and time again, and he wants it to see it end. And where it could possibly end? In a world like Quadratum. He put this plan into play that he thought that the dandelions from the past could be the light of the future. But when he saw this world, he said to himself, this could be the wave. And this could be the way. And that is why he's on the opposite side of the chessboard, because he saw the world of Quadratum and he said, forget the plan, forget the light, forget the darkness. Now that I've seen that there is a world that exists outside of light and darkness, outside of the fight between light and darkness, outside of everything that I thought could be the end between the light and darkness, I want that world. I want that world to be this world. And if I'm going to make that world this world, then anyone in my way would be an enemy. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, he is on the opposite side of the chessboard. Because plans and people can change. So that's why I think that he's going to be on the opposite side of the chessboard. I think YuZora, you know, obviously he's the hardest boss in Kingdom Hearts history. But, you know, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's going to be a great ally. It's all misunderstanding between that of Sora and YuZora. And that, obviously, YuZora, I think, is going to be the 7th crown. And that they are going to stand against the other 7. And that the Master is going to have his army ready to, you know, destroy all there is, possibly, in order to leave Quadratum the last world standing. Because that's the world he wants. But, like I've said it before in multiple theories and in multiple previous episodes of the 5th Dimension, which I have a very interesting theory that crept into my head a couple of days ago. I hope you guys are going to look forward to that when it comes to Verum-Rex. Is that although Verum-Rex, although Quadratum may not have light or darkness fighting, they have their own type of problems, their own type of war, that I feel that the Master is just like, it can't be all that bad. And it comes with the idea of weapons versus karma, and the acceleration of karma within that of the hearts of humans, and that we see that YuZora and Luxord have their own problems, in which Luxord thought that Sora could help turn the tables of whatever's going on back in Quadratum, right? So with their own set of problems, with their own set of ideals and stuff, that's probably going to be put at a clash between that of the Master of Masters, and that probably will draw some inspiration and understanding from that of Sora, who is currently trapped in Quadratum. The more and more people we have visiting Quadratum, between that of our known universe, I feel we're going to get more and more of an idea of who stands where when it comes to the fine line in the sand. And in closing, I feel that Luxu is going to be on that other side of the line after he sees everything that the Master of Masters might, you know, go a little more flip-flop. Because consider this, ladies and gentlemen, Luxu is a very, you know, speculative, theoretic. He wants to get the answers. He's a very, you know, like, obviously he is one of Ansem the Wise's researchers. He's one of the Ansem the Wise's, you know, men of scientists. Even though he doesn't look it, all the apprentices deal with science and are researchers. That's why they're apprentices. He likes to tinker with equations in order to try and get to a hypothesis and possibly an answer to certain theories. And yet, the Master of Masters is always all like, nah, man, go with the flow, go with the wind, you know, just let things vibe. You constantly try to get all these answers for it, and then when you get an answer you don't like, or if you get an understanding you don't like from someone else, and then you start falling apart, just vibe, man, yeah, bro. Which is hilarious, considering that Xigbar, you got that whole, like, surfer dude and stuff, and I'm pretty sure he's had a good amount of the old puff. Man, I would love to, like, blaze with that dude. But all things considered, I feel that something like that, if the Master of Masters is going to think to that endgame, Luxu might not vibe with that. And then that's why I think Luxu might get a crown. And then the Master of Masters might get his Keyblade back, because he is the Master of Masters. All those Keyblades that he made for his apprentices, they're all his. They all have his eye. They all belong to him. They all have his mark. Bam. Yo, oh god. Like, this is Luxu is like when he gets his Keyblade. It's like, oh, that color. Those subtle spikes. Oh my god. He even has watermark. Like all those Keyblades have them. You know, so they're all the Master of Masters Keyblades. So like Luxu, he can, like, he's a Keyblade wielder. He can get his own Keyblade. He can help him. Yensid can help him out. I don't know. You know. So with all that jazz and whatnot, let's move on over to the true Dandelion, since we're talking about Luxu so much, right? The thing about the true Dandelion, if you guys haven't seen the theory, you guys should definitely go check it out on my channel, is that I surmise that the true Dandelion, out of all the choices that we've seen, all the choices that people theorize with, in terms of possibly being Sora, I don't agree with that, because I mean, like, that would make Sora created from greatness, and that would go against the entirety of his character, right? A lot of people are thinking, you know, obviously people from that time period, you know, it could be Strelitzia, and I feel like Strelitzia isn't out of the question, because, like, oh, but she's dead, but we saw her heart fly away. She can literally, like, Luxu could be like, you, and grab her heart and put her in cloth. I mean, Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, did that for how many years on Destiny Islands? So it's not unheard of, right? It could be Strelitzia, it could be Laurium, it could be Elrena, it could be Ventus, and I'll explain how all of those guys get to the future. And then Ventus especially, it would mirror the fact that how Xehanort had him in a white cloth, just like at the end of Birth by Sleep. Not the end, the beginning of Birth by Sleep, right? And then we come to, I feel, the biggest playmakers when it comes to who could be the true Dandelion. And let's start with Skuld. That would explain how Luxu and Skuld have that type of, I don't want to say relationship, but connection, in which Skuld could be the true Dandelion. He's the one who sent her to the future, and he's the one who freed her from the cage that Ansem the Wise put her in underneath the castle in Radiant Garden. So it'll bring all that connection to light. You know, like Luxu sent her to the future, and Luxu's the one who's gonna break her out. You know, it all comes into contact, right? But then that would not make sense, because if you're gonna use the arc, you have to leave, your body gets stripped away from the immense journey through space and time in the 5th dimension. So she wouldn't have a body, right? So then Skuld would make sense for the connection, but not for the body thing. But the last two aspects that will make sense for the body thing is the player character. Mr. Player, you, me, us, we. Yeah, right? Nintendo Wii. Anyways, it could be us, and then that could explain how the player character's heart got jettisoned to the future, and somehow, some way, came into contact with Xehanort's heart, and that wouldn't be out of the question because, you know, that happened with Sora, that happened with Ventus, that happened with, you know, Destiny Islands, because it's Destiny Islands. Ha 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 ha! Please clap. Anyways, that could explain how young Xehanort gained the memories of the player character, as we've seen in the beginning of Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, you know? The player character's heart gets jettisoned to the future, and somehow, someway gets connected to Xehanort's heart, and then Xehanort relives those moments that we've seen in Union Cross, and then that could be the little nudge, you know, needed in order to push Xehanort in a certain direction that Luxu and the Masters needed in order to execute their plan. So that, I feel, is like the second biggest thing. And then number one, in my opinion, is that the true Dandelion is Ephemer. Ephemer, the leader of the Union leader of the Union leaders. Whatever. All right. And I feel he's like the most important character when it comes to Union Cross, aside from you, right? And then I'll explain a ton of things, you know? We'll explain how Sora came into contact with Ephemer's heart at the Keyblade Graveyard, because, you know, Ephemer was just a heart. He doesn't have a form, but yes, Sora saw him with a form, but that he connected with him, and then that's how Sora was able to command all of the Union Cross Keyblades, and then do the whole Union Cross attack. And then also, it would explain possibly how Sora gains the Starlight Keyblade. That could be Ephemer's Keyblade. That's how he comes to wield the Keyblade and stuff. It could be a downgraded version of Ephemer's Starlight Keyblade, because, of course, Ephemer has an upgraded version of the Starlight and whatnot. And then it would explain another couple of things, which include certain designs in the Kingdom Hearts, in which the theory that a lot of people believed, and myself included once upon a time before I thought that Luxu was the homie, I thought that Luxu, Braig, Xigbar beat the shit out of Ephemer, killed him, or made him a Heartless, and then took his scarf. It's like, momento. No, that's what we thought. But now, since I believe that Luxu is the homie, le homie, he's the one who put Ephemer as a true Dandelion to send him to the future, and knew that Ephemer wasn't going to have a form, and kept the one of two things that the Master of Masters said that someone needed to complete their form in the future, which includes memories, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, and a medium to recreate the body, right? And that medium was Ephemer's scarf. Ephemer's scarf that Luxu kept, tried to take care of as much as he could, tattered and worn as Braig. And that's why Braig had the scarf. He was keeping it this whole time as the medium from Ephemer to help rebuild his body, just like how Maleficent's coat was used by Diablo to rebuild Maleficent in Kingdom Hearts 2. And then people say, oh, but the designs are different. You know, there's a design in Ephemer's thing and yada, 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 all that good jazz. Well, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. And I have a very beautiful way of putting this. And that is something that we call respectable retcons, right? So I feel that Tetsuya Nomura, once upon a time, you know, he designed Braig with a scarf. And, you know, he gave him that specific design aside from all the other characters, or I should say, the apprentices of Ansem the Wise, who would dress in a certain way. None of them had anything really defining, right? Except for Braig. And I felt that was going to be very important later down the line, because I felt that Tetsuya Nomura has something really important for number 2 of the Organization 13. And then as we saw, Xigbar turned out to be Luciu, right? And then at one point, going into writing the story of Union Cross and how it could connect to the Grand Lore of Kingdom Hearts, he decided to, you know, have an idea set into his mind and give Ephemer a red scarf as well. And he's like, this is going to come in handy, right? But you know what, I'm going to give it a little bit more design, you know, considering that, you know, I want to get a little bit more hanky-panky or whatever and stuff. And then that's the connection that Tetsuya Nomura decided to draw on, because when it comes to a story, you know, things obviously sometimes get retconned, and the flow of the motion of at the time it was written, at the time it continues to get written, things can change, things can get updated. And then my other hanky-panky answers are like, oh, but the designs in Ephemer's scarf. I'm like, it's cloth. It can fade. It's mostly red. The patterns on the red can go away with time. So yeah, I really feel that Xigbar's scarf in Birth by Sleep and Ephemer's scarf in Union Cross are one and the same, in that Xigbar as Luciu had that ready to, like, you know, get Ephemer to be, you know, restored in the future. But something got in the way, and that is number 2 of what you need to be recompleted in the future when it comes to going to the future from the past. And that is the memories. Now, as we know, all the people, we're going to get to Luciu, all the people from the past that we see into the future with all that good jazz don't remember. We have Ventus. Doesn't remember what happened in Union Cross. His Kiriti confirmed it. Chiriti confirmed it. Marluxia didn't have memories of what happened in Union Cross, but still had the memories etched in his heart. And then when you beat his ass at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, he's like, my heart is remembering how to feel, and my memories are coming back to me. So it's coming back. So maybe that's what we need. Elrena Larxene, which I have no idea how she's gonna come to the future. We literally, like, bro, we saw her once and that was it. And I'm like, yo, so how is she gonna get to the future? Because, like, Lorium is kind of important in Union Cross, but Elrena is just like, how's she gonna come to the future? WandaVision. She doesn't remember, and I feel that she's gonna remember, you know, after getting her ass beat as well. And then we get confirmed, because Subject X is heavily, like, 95% implied to be Skuld. Subject X does not remember the past either, right? And then Ephemer is probably floating somewhere as a heart, just like, man, I really wish I had a body. And Brain, like, that's gonna be sad. Are you guys ready to pour one out for our boy Brain? Brain is probably gonna stay behind for the break and all that stuff, because, you know, Brain is gonna have to sire the line that leads up to Ericus, right? So Brain's gonna stay behind, so he's out of the question. So I feel there's some sort of extra power at work in order to possibly get the idea that their memories may have been tampered with, and that could have been on account of the darkness, you know, either Vanitas or the darkness that we see the conversing with the Master of Masters, or the darkness that converses with Luciu, right? I feel the darkness is responsible for everyone losing the memory, because of course the true Dandelion would be the key to end the darkness once and for all. And the darkness is like, no, we not in my house, so you can't have that. So the darkness are like, okay, so Brain probably has the medium. Luciu, no, not Brain. Luciu probably has the medium. We can't change that. We can't mess with that. Whatever. Let's just mess with the other thing that can complete Ephemer in the future. the memories. So I feel that the darkness may have been responsible for those not remembering what happened in Union Cross, right? And then Luxu obviously remembers what happened in Union Cross to a T, but possibly those specific memories when it came to Ephemer either may have been wiped or they were not enough to rebuild his body. Where, okay, Luxu's one key, and then he needs someone else to be another key. You know, the skull, the Ventus, whatever, take your pick, right? And then the scarf, like, you remember this, and then he shows him the scarf, and the scarf's like, that's Ephemer's scarf. And then Ephemer comes back, and then everyone, like, hugs, laughs, kiss, yeah, hooray. But yeah, Union Cross has been hella wild, like extremely wild, and like it's not over, but the end is incoming. Apparently, Union Cross is set to end this month, ladies and gentlemen. That's gonna be wild, Breath of the Wild, in which, you know, from what we just saw already, I don't know if my heart can take it. I don't know if my heart can take it. But all things considered, when it comes to how this relates to, you know, Kingdom Hearts Rewind and that Union Cross Quadratum, all that good jazz, especially that good piece of meat we got at the end of Melody and Memory, I feel that Quadratum, the next Kingdom Hearts game, I keep calling it the Quadratum game, the Raikou game, the Sora game, the Yozora game, is going to be incredibly important in order to get a good amount of disposition out in terms of the world that we're dealing with and the world that possibly the Master wants, right? And that we're going to be seeing some familiar faces here and there, and then at the same time, I feel that, you know, there's constant questions on what Marluxia, Larxene, and Demyx are doing. We already know what Luxord's doing. Luxord is Mr. Butler pal of our boy Yozora, right? So we already know what he's doing. I have a really big gut feeling that Lauriam, Elrena, and whatever Demyx's real name, Dime, Yamid, Mead, Med, whatever, I feel that those three are going to appear up in Quadratum. Because Yen Sid obviously stated that the old masters, the foretellers, the lost masters, had the power to go between that of the individual worlds, the in-between worlds. You know, not the in-between worlds, between the worlds of reality, unreality, Quadratum, and possibly that of Daybreak Time. That goes on to become Scarlet Column, right? And I feel that this power might have been at one point explored by more people other than the foretellers in Union Cross, to the point where I feel that Marluxia and Larxene as Elrena and Lauriam possibly had the power to do so, and then that, you know, people from the other side may have the people to do it to do it, you know, to our side. You know, and I feel that's where Luxord and Demyx come into play. That they came from Quadratum. We have two from Union Cross. We have two from Quadratum, right? In order to make the square. Because they are the square. Why do you think I chose members 9 through 12? Because they make a square. They're the square. I don't have... Oh, cube! Yeah, square. 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 They are the square. Right? So, And that's obviously the ancient Keyblade legacy that Xemnas wanted to mess around with and stuff. So, like, it's so funny. Xemnas, Luxord, Xigbar, and Ansem, they all messed with, you know, the idea of the other world in their own ways. You know, Ansem dealt with the girl. It was like, oh, her memories are important. Where did you put the girl? And then Ansem obviously is the offshoot of TARawson. They're both offshoots of TARawson, Xemnas and Ansem. So of course they get their essence. So when it came to Apprentice Xehanort becoming Ansem, where'd you put the girl? And then when it came to Apprentice Xehanort becoming Xemnas, it's like, oh, the ancient Keyblade legacy, numbers 9 through 12. You know, they're all taking steps in order to, like, you know, try and get an understanding, get a point of this world of Quadratum. Then Luxord probably was acting as a double agent that came from Quadratum in order to understand what the people of this world was doing, and of course find the champion that could possibly help Yozora in Quadratum, and that would be Sora. But then also he wanted to mess around a little bit with Luxu to see what he was thinking and whatnot. So with all those things considered, I feel that we are going to get something big, something huge, something spicy when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. You know, here's a question for y'all. I really do believe, I really do believe that the next Kingdom Hearts game is going to be Kingdom Hearts 4. And it could have a subtitle, you know, usher in the difference between that of Phase 3 and, not Phase 3. I said Phase 3 because of Kingdom Hearts 3. Phase 1 and Phase 2. But at the same time, you know, if Kingdom Hearts 4 were to get a subtitle, then that would be like Kingdom Hearts 4, Verum Rex. Kingdom Hearts 4, Quadratum. Kingdom Hearts 4, you know, One True Sky, whatever, right? And then that would be like Kingdom Hearts 4, Verum Rex, Final Mix. Kingdom Hearts 4, Verum Rex, Remind. Yeah, that would be a lot. That would be a lot. So maybe it's just Kingdom Hearts 4. I think it's just gonna be Kingdom Hearts 4. Nah, I think it's Kingdom Hearts 4. Yeah. That was a good one. So, with Kingdom Hearts going into the unknown when it comes to the darknesses of Union Cross, the collective, cognitive, willful darknesses, and when it comes to the Seven Crowns, the True Dandelion, we're getting a lot, and I mean a lot, on our plate when it comes to the Masters, what he wants to do, how Quadratum could change all of that, and how Sora could be applied to all of this. Because as we know it right now, after Melody Memory, after Kingdom Hearts 3, Sora is still gone, right? He is supposedly in Quadratum. And I really want to know how Yozora comes into play with all of this, because I mean, like, you know, all things considered when it comes to Yozora being a new character and, you know, his voice actor or whatnot, Dylan Sprouse is still a very young, spry guy and stuff. And I feel that he got the contract. He got the bag in terms of Kingdom Hearts, you know, just like how Haley Joel Osment did way back when. You know, Yozora, I feel, is going to be the Sora of Kingdom Hearts Phase 2, right? And I feel that he's going to be important, like, throughout the next Kingdom Hearts game moving forward. You know, obviously, Melody Memory, he wasn't there, but I mean, he had very, you know, what's the word? I don't want to say flavor. He had a very significant footprint in that game when it comes to, you know, the Name of the Star, Quadratum, going to Quadratum, Riku's Dream, yada, 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 and of course, Sora disappearing. And all things considered, I think that the next game, we're going to get way bigger a way bigger perspective from Yozora than we are going to get from Sora, because I feel that Union Cross is building up to that in a very significant way. You know, Sora is probably going to take a back seat within Kingdom Hearts for, I want to say, like a good minute within Phase 2. And that doesn't mean, obviously, he's not going to be there, because, I mean, like, you know, spoiler alert, what happened at the end of Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, Sora was, he came back pretty packing, quotations, came back pretty packing, and, I feel that Sora's going to have a very similar treatment moving forward for either a game or two, but definitely for the VanRex game, because I would definitely love to play you as YuZora as the primary character. And then when are we gonna get the announcement when it comes to YuZora, when it comes to Quadratum, when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 4 or Kingdom Hearts Next or Kingdom Hearts 2022 20th celebration, right? When are we gonna get the announcement for that? I feel that Jump Festa at the end of this year, which is still considered to be Jump Festa 2022, I feel that's going to be a very safe bet, considering that Kingdom Hearts always usually has a place there, right? And then by that time, I feel that's going to be the perfect time by that time, right? By that time, Union Cross is going to be over in terms of story, and by that time, Dark Road is also going to be over in terms of story. Like, the stories that have been leading up into this YuZora game, or up until this 20th anniversary of Kingdom Hearts, they're all going to be a wrap. Union Cross is ending this month. Dark Road is going, like, okay, so Union Cross Dark Road is going to go offline in April, at the end of April, May, whatever. Union Cross is ending in April, and then the game is going to go offline, and it's going to come back as an offline version of the game, in which, in Union Cross, you can see all the cutscenes, theater mode. That's Union Cross. But then Dark Road is going to be playable offline, and then Dark Road is going to be complete in September, right? So Union Cross is going to end this month, and then Dark Road is going to end, by default, by how they're going to present it to us as a fully playable experience offline in September. So April, September, Union Cross, Dark Road are going to be done in terms of story, right? And then we have Jump Festa, which is coming out 3 months afterwards. 3 months afterwards. That's a good amount of time for people to digest what's going on and whatnot. And with that considered, it's gonna go down in which I feel that Kingdom Hearts VanRex will have its final upbringing, its reveal, all that good jazz. And I feel that's gonna be very, very spicy. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all so much for coming on out to the 5th Dimension. This has been a wild ride coming back, and I hope you guys had a really, really good time. We're going to try and keep this up next week, hopefully, and thank y'all so much for coming on out. It's been fun. It's been great. And, before we, leave, before I toss y'all to the wind, I want to go ahead and raid another channel when it comes to who belongs in the 5th dimension. Let's take a look. It's in a book, A Reading Rainbow, right? Let's take a look, right? You know what? We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and raid player Michaelis, who is currently streaming Monster Hunter Rise. I really need to get into that game. I think that's going to be a really cool game. All right. So, guys, thank y'all so much for coming out to the stream. It's been a lot of fun. Much love. And this episode of the 5th Dimension is going to go live tomorrow. Until then, this has been HMK. Don't forget, be brave, dive deep, and enter the 5th Dimension. I'll see you guys next time.